Alfred Weber. Alfred Weber, German, ~veːb낳, 30 July 1868 to May 1958, was a German economist, geographer, sociologist, and theoretician of culture whose work was influential in the development of modern economic geography. Life. Alfred Weber, younger brother of the well-known sociologist Max Weber, was born in Erfurt and raised in Charlottenburg. From 1907 to 1933, he was a professor at the University of Heidelberg. Work. Weber supported reintroducing theory and causal models to the field of economics, in addition to using historical analysis. In this field, his achievements involve work on early models of industrial location. He lived during the period when sociology became a separate field of science. Weber maintained a commitment to the philosophy of history traditions. He contributed theories for analyzing social change in Western civilization as a confluence of civilization, intellectual and technological, social processes, organizations, and culture, art, religion, and philosophy. Least cost theory. Leaning heavily on work developed by the relatively unknown Wilhelm Launhardt, Alfred Weber formulated a least cost theory of industrial location, which tries to explain and predict the locational pattern of the industry at a macro scale. It emphasizes that firms seek a site of minimum transport and labor cost. The point for locating an industry that minimizes costs of transportation and labor requires analysis of three factors: material index, agglomeration, and deglomeration. Agglomeration is the phenomenon of spatial clustering, or a concentration of firms in a relatively small area. The clustering and linkages allow individual firms to enjoy both internal and external economies. Auxiliary industries, specialized machines or services used only occasionally by larger firms, tend to be located in agglomeration areas, not just to lower costs but to serve the bigger populations. Agglomeration occurs when companies and services leave because of the diseconomies of industry's excessive concentration. Firms who can achieve economies by increasing their scale of industrial activities benefit from agglomeration. However, after reaching an optimal size, local facilities may become overtaxed, lead to an offset of initial advantages, and increase in PC. Then the force of agglomeration may eventually be replaced by other forces which promote deglomeration. Globalization. Similarly, industrial activity is considered a secondary economic activity and is also discussed as manufacturing. Industrial activity can be broken down further to include the following activities: processing, the creation of intermediate parts, final assembly. Today, with multinational corporations, the three activities listed above may occur outside MDC. Weber's theory can explain some of the causes for current movement, yet such discussion did not come from Weber himself. Weber found industrial activity the least expensive to produce. Least cost location then implies marketing the product at the least cost to the consumer, much like retailers attempt to obtain large market shares today. Economically, it is explained as one way to make a profit. Creating the cheapest product for the consumer market leads to greater volume of sales and hence greater profits. Therefore, companies that do not take the time to locate the cheapest inputs or the largest markets would not succeed, since their product costs more to produce and costs the consumer more. His theory has 5 assumptions. His first assumption is known as the isotropic plane assumption. This means the model is operative in a single country with a uniform topography, climate, technology, economic system. His second assumption is that only one finished product is considered at a time and the product is shipped to a single market. The third assumption is raw materials are fixed at certain locations, and the market is also a known fixed location. The fourth assumption is labor is fixed geographically but is available in unlimited quantities at any production site selected. The final assumption is that transport costs are a direct function of weight of the item and the distance shipped. In use with his theory, he created the locational triangle. His triangle is used with one market and two sources of material. This illustrated that manufacturing that utilizes pure materials will never tie the processing location to the material site. Also, industries utilizing high weight loss materials will tend to be pulled toward the material source as opposed to the market. Furthermore, many industries will select an intermediate location between market and material. The last generalization is considered to be wrong because he never takes into account terminal costs and therefore is considered biased toward intermediate locations. To further explore the location of firms, Weber also created two concepts. The first is of an isotim, which is a line of equal transport cost for any product or material. The second is the isodapane, which is a line of total transport costs. The isodapane is found by adding all of the isotims at a location. The reason for using isodapanes is to systematically introduce the labor component into Weber's locational theory. Weber has received much criticism. It has been said that Weber did not effectively and realistically take into account geographic variation in market demand, which is considered a locational factor of paramount influence. Also, his treatment of transport did not recognize that these costs are not proportional to distance and weight, and that intermediate locations necessitate added terminal charges. Labor is not always available in unlimited quantity at any location and is usually quite mobile through migration. Plus, most manufacturing plants obtain a large number of material inputs and produce a wide range of products for many diverse markets, so his theory doesn't easily apply. Furthermore, he underestimated the effect of agglomeration. Works. Über den Standort der Industrie Theory of the Location of Industries 1909. Dienst Staats- und Kultursoziologie 1927. Kulturgeschichte als Kultursoziologie 1935. Farewell to European History or the Conquest of Nihilism 1947. Einführung in die Soziologie 1955.